Hey, everybody. I am Trey Rowland, and I am back with another edition of the Triple Option presented by Tomahawk Nation, hosted by the X's and Noles YouTube channel of my best analytical friend, Kevin Little. As you guys can see, I have less hair on top, and no, I did not get a haircut. I just ripped every single strand out, follicle by follicle, watching Florida State lose to Pittsburgh 41-17 in a game that they were winning 14-3, almost up 20-3 before they had a fumble return called back. And this was a weird game. And it was a bad, weird game. Let me just give you this stat. Florida State had 3 quarterbacks playing this game, and all of them threw an interception, which I don't know if that's happened in any other game in college football this season. And I don't think that we'll call up our ESPN stats and info guys, because I don't think that that's something that normally happens. 144 yards through the air. Pitt got 41 points, but to be honest with you, the defense had a lot of guys missing. Marvin Wilson, both safeties, Renardo Green, Travis Jay, Keem Dent didn't play. And even though the Pitt, an offense that's been objectively horrible pretty much throughout the entire year, put up 41 points, I don't put this loss on the defense. I feel like the offense they pooped the bed for a variety of reasons, which we'll talk about, to say it in a PC way. Adam and Kevin, Adam, you go first. What was your story of the game, did you feel like? And I think this is going to lead to some more philosophical kind of bigger conversations, because Saturday was the first time that I've seen a lot of people question Mike Norvell in some ways that I actually think are credible, not just the crazy fan ranting at the cloud stuff. So, Adam, you go first. Story of the game and how you're feeling, then Kevin.
Story of the game, I thought Mike chased an outcome that was never going to be there for him, especially when Jordan went down. I thought he allowed this game to get ugly by trying to continue to throw the ball against 7-man pressures over and over and over again. And I think the playbook's extremely limited, especially when you go to a true freshman quarterback who's been on campus since June, July, whenever he's been there. But I thought Mike made a crucial error, and even at down 14, like it just felt like he was chasing an outcome that he should have known was never going to be there. And I know you don't want to, you're constantly playing to win the football game, but you're also constantly trying to stay and look competitive. And I don't know. I thought he failed in that as a play caller. He and Kenny, I thought they failed as play callers, not trying to get kids into better positions, and sometimes just running the football and letting the clock run.
That's a great point, Adam, and I think that that's very evident by a lot of the fourth down math that Mike Norvell, very aggressive, playing like a game that he thought that he was going to win and expected to win from the beginning. But as you said, once Jordan Travis got injured, and I don't think Jordan's made it through an entire game without being nicked up in some sort. The offense really went to hell, and it shows you just how much there has been a lot of positivity surrounding the development of the offensive line, the development of the offense, which has been incredible. Alex Atkins has done a great job, but it just showed you that running quarterback component, you had a defensive guy in Pat Narduzzi that just said, I'm going to bring the house every single play. Your quarterbacks can't get a hot read, and you're going to get sacked and everything. So I'm just going to blow up every single thing. And he did it over and over again with little to no answer from the Florida State offense. Kevin?
Yeah, I think whatever honeymoon period you give with Mike Norvell and being excited was erased when you see QB1 walk out there at halftime. No offense to the kid.
Very controversial.
I think he's done great things for this program. I think he's a great kid. I think you know what you have with him, and so him going out there either tells me that he didn't trust Chubba to go out there, which tells me that Chubba's not ready, which is entirely possible because in the few months he's been here, he's spent a lot of time in a cast.
Yep.
And so that's totally reasonable. But also it probably tells me that I don't know how you don't you know what you have in that. Like, he's not going to win you that game. It seems like that was a last-ditch effort to hold on to the game, and it makes me concerned for his evaluation process if that's what's happening. I mean, Chubba wasn't worse than James when he went in there. He was arguably better. I mean, James has looked like a bottom 5 quarterback in FBS. But realistically, this is my heart, and this is where I want to, like, this is where what I want to establish before we get too far. And we're gonna say things that are critical of these coaches. We're gonna be real about what we think about these coaches. But I'm a fan. I don't get paid full time to do this. Like, so I don't have to be completely rational and logical, but I will
go crazy. That's it. Go crazy a little bit. I like it.
As a fan, I would disband my YouTube channel and stop writing if it meant that Florida State was good at football. I would trade it all, whatever. Trade any influence. All 17 of you guys that watch this show, listen to me. Yeah, I think we got 20 the other day. So, but like, I would trade it all for Florida State to be good. So you people that like go on Twitter and you go on Facebook and you talk about how Mike Norvell is the worst coach to ever live and Fuller is the worst person since, whoever. Recruits see that crap, like recruits notice that, they take note of it, and it hurts recruiting. It hurts the team overall. So if you feel like your extra 20 Twitter followers are worth being inflammatory and actually trying to hurt this program, then go for it, man. Like, and this is probably more towards the people that have influence,
Kevin.
But like,
salt in it.
You're hurting Florida State because it gets you a few more likes on Twitter. That's bullcrap, and you guys need to shut up and stop acting like you're fans of the program.
I like it, and that's a good point. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the things where I think you can legitimately question the thought process of Mike Norvell. I kind of think it goes down to what Adam's thinking, man. He was chasing the win. He was chasing a win that he firmly had in his grasp, that it became apparently clear to everybody else but the coaching staff that was much further away than he thought. So we'll get into that. We'll get into all that stuff. I'm still optimistic on the coaching staff just because of the pedigree that they have. Like, I mean, the past success, what they did at Memphis was very impressive to me. I don't know if they're good enough coaches to overcome the rot that's in the floorboards, that's in the walls, that's in the frames of the Florida State program. So we'll talk about it. I'll maybe play a little bit of devil's advocate when we get to James Blackman's in there, because if you don't know what James Blackman is by now, there's no shadow of a doubt, man. He's wrecked. He's got to be sent to the island of misfit toys. He's a wonderful guy. But it's broken beyond repair.
And let me preface this. I'm not saying never criticize coaches. I'm saying you have Mike Norvell for this foreseeable future, and right now is not the time to make inflammatory posts about firing him off the bat. That's what I'm frustrated.
It'll waste. It's just going to waste your time. It's not realistic. Do whatever you want to do. It's fine. But we'll talk about, because even in this game where there are some decisions where we question the mindset of the coaching staff, we're going to show you film where sometimes the right play was called, and guess what? They didn't execute. They false started. They had a stupid personal foul. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff going on. Let's get to. Do you guys want to say anything else before we start kind of jumping into the film? Because the film is going to guide. The film is going to guide our I guess the direction of the discussion. Adam, do you have anything, or is it kind of fun to watch the non-ranty guy rant a little bit?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was fun. He went scorched earth there.
Yeah,
I really appreciated that. No, I'm frustrated too. Look, I mean, it is what it is. This is year -5, and I'm more frustrated at the people that are trying to say we should have kept Willie around. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Whatever you think about Willie, whether we did him right or did him wrong, at the end of the day, we have Mike Norvell, and we have him for a while. So if you want to ruin the program because you want to cry about what's already happened, then I don't know. I'm sorry.
In 2020, I'd rather talk about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James than Willie Taggart versus Mike Norvell. That's
Brian
where I'm at with that
Scalabrine
discussion.
is the best player of all time. Dude.
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
The
White
Mamba,
Mamba.
the White Mamba. All right, let's throw on some film and let's see, because it was fun at the beginning, right? I mean, we didn't think Kenny Pickett was playing. If you would have told me before the game that Kenny Pickett was playing, this is probably a type of score line that I would have thought happened. Maybe it made that loss a little bit more sour, because I fully expected with their backup quarterback Florida State to win a close game all week. Pickett was in, but Pickett looked limited when he was in. Now, I don't know if the cortisone that they shot up in his leg took effect later on, because he looked a little bit better before they brought in and they also have this like dead ringer Carney fullback quarterback guy that they bring in to go 5-wide and run the QB draw. That was fun. That was fun on the goal line, and it was a game that you had an 11-point lead. Like immediately your defense was stopping them. Your offense was moving. So maybe that's why this one hurts more, because it was one that we fully expected to win until we didn't, which was at a point that we realized before Mike Norvell did.
Yeah, I'm realizing now that I'm missing a play, but this is a second play kind of in a series of plays that he ran this game.
Is this the first drive? This is the first drive, right?
Yeah, this is the first.
The scripted.
I want to see the play, and then we're going to talk about scripts.
So in this play, they kind of do this. I call it an orbit motion, where the guy goes in motion behind the quarterback. Different people call it different things. And then they're going to do kind of a zone read here, where Jordan Travis is reading really this outside linebacker here, and determining if he comes inside, he's going to throw it to the screen. If he stays outside, he's going to give it to the back or keep it himself. They kind of did all three options throughout the game, and this was actually pretty successful. And you don't see them go back to this. The long running touchdown later on in the game is actually him keeping it off the same play. So you'll kind of see what they do here. So
this is a good. Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I really wish I had the first version of this where he gave it, but we got like a solid 15 yards off of him giving that ball.
So this is interesting. So if you guys remember when we talked about Pittsburgh in our mailbag edition from last week, great defensive line, great linebackers, very aggressive, very well coached. However, we thought that anything you could do to keep these linebackers off balance, moving laterally, just so they couldn't trigger and be as aggressive as they normally did, that would be the key to winning this game. That is what they did for the first couple of drives. You could tell the Pittsburgh defense was on their heels. We were moving it. The linebackers weren't really a factor for the first couple drives of the game. And then, Adam, I don't know, and this is my ignorance. Our scripted drives, and I know there's plenty to speak for that. Our scripted drives go well. Now, do our scripted drives go well? And we normally don't go to a lot of those things and went well later in the game. Now, Adam, is that because the things that we're doing well in the beginning are non-repeatable? It's like, oh, you got me once, but now that I've seen that, we'll never go back to it again? Or, like, is that the nature of success on scripted drives? Are they one-offs, or are the things that we're doing on scripted drives, should they be repeatable and we're just not going back to them again for whatever reason? What's your opinion on why we don't go back to the stuff we do on the scripted drives?
So they did run this. They ran this stuff some more later in the game. With no success. Here's the thing about scripted drives. Like, you're practicing them against a look that you're expecting to get. 9 times out of 10, you get that look. They get whatever they've scouted. They're expecting. They get when they come out to start a game 9 times out of 10, and they got that from Pitt. They got what they thought they were going to get, and they were able to incorporate a few things into the scripted drive, like this orbit stuff. They did run this. They continued running this throughout the game. They just didn't have success with it. Pitt made adjustments. Yeah, Pitt made adjustments. So what happens is the defense comes out. They get an idea of what you're running. You come out and you get an idea of what the defense is running. Their scripted drives are things they've been working on, and they sprinkle in a few things. There was like, so it's not a jump pass, but like some jump pass type action where Travis,
the hunch forward.
Yeah.
Looked like I was trying to head bang my computer to death. Right there.
So those are things that are not repeatable. obviously. Those are things that you just thrown in as wrinkles, and those are things that created big chunk plays for them in the game, or on the drive that helped them score a touchdown. But this orbit stuff, once they see it a few times, they've made their adjustments overall, and really they just said, screw it, we're going to bring backside pressure off this orbit, and they just ate them to death. Like there was no time.
All right,
Yeah,
so
so
I go ahead because I have a question on this too. So you go ahead first, though, Kevin.
Yeah, so just to give like an example of this, literally they see this orbit motion, the same orbit motion, and they bring 7 guys. That means only 4 people out in coverage total. And this is what a lot of the last 3 quarters of the game look like. Them just bringing the house, not worried at all about throwing the ball, and just look like deer in headlights.
So we do the stuff on the scripted draft for people that think we don't. Like I initially thought we did until I was educated by the great Adam Brown. So we're doing the things that work on the scripted drives. The defense makes an adjustment to counter that. Now, my question is, are you happy with the level of counter adjustments that Mike Norvell makes off of those? Or is it that point where it's like, well, we did a lot of pre-scouting work. We found out this weakness in the defense. And now that it can't be exploited anymore, our players suck, so we're kind of screwed a little bit? Or do you think Mike Norvell's not adjusting enough once the defenses make their counter off the first couple drives, Adam?
I don't think they got enough playbook in to counter adjust, honestly.
Okay, and that's a good point.
I think
Dillingham said as much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why you see that they can come out with a script and do so well. And then when it's time for them to adjust based off of what the defense is doing, look, it's twofold for me. A, they're not talented enough. Pitt started bringing 7 guys. We couldn't block it to save our lives. And that's just – but look at Jordan Travis on this play. I mean, Kev's showing here, he won't throw the football to 2 guys that are wide open.
Yeah, right. I've got an even better example of that one.
But Trey, so I mean, I think it's a twofold thing. Like, A, I don't think they're talented enough to adjust, and B, I don't think that they've had enough time together in this offense to be able to have those things built in to start adapting in mid-game. I mean, there's some small things that they do tweaking wise. They can alter blocking assignments and that kind of stuff, but man, they're so young too on offense, especially up front, that there's only so much you can really do in a game with that kind of youth and really lack of skill. Like, you could say, well, let's run this route differently, but I mean, these wide receivers suck. They're not good.
And we'll get. Because we're going to talk about it before you run this play, Kevin. Quick question for Adam, our line guy: is Devontae Left Taylor? Is he the Jordan Travis of the offensive line? Because not only did Pitt adjust on defense, but it seems like there was a noticeable lack of production when he was out of the lineup.
I think if he was in there or not in there, it wasn't going to.
It wouldn't make a difference. Okay.
No. But did you see? I don't know if anybody else paid attention when Darius Washington came in right after DLT got hurt. He is so thin. Like, I don't know if anybody paid attention to that. They showed a good side profile picture of him. He looked like he weighs 260, 270.
The pads looked a little baggy. That's a good point.
Holy moly! Like, that's not ACC quality tackle size. Like,
yep.
Holy crap! Now there's a kid that had shoulder surgery, and also he had shoulder cleaned out, so he wasn't doing any kind of upper body lifting. Like, on top of trying to find rehab in a COVID offseason, like, no, I'm not shocked. I'm still a fan of Darius Washington's game and his future at Florida State. Like, that's a kid that needs an offseason. He shouldn't be playing. He's not ready to play. Yep. But he's being forced in there. But as far as your question, Trey, I don't think it mattered. DLT or not, they were going to get
whooped. They're going to get smacked around. Okay.
Pitt's got a great defensive line. I mean, look at this play. Like, Bavion one-on-one. I don't know this guy's name for Pitt. It's just not even funny.
I must say, I thought Robert Scott held up very well, though. Honestly, throughout the game, he had his moments also.
Oh no, Bavion Boogajoe.
Not even.
Oh no, that's a little rub of the nip right there. That's just a nip. They just brushed his nip a little bit.
But look at your true freshman right tackle.
Yeah,
I think
sports goggles, dude. I'm a fan of him. That's all you gotta say. Sports goggles.
You've got 2 pieces there that you can build around with him and Maurice Smith. I really think that they're quality. They're a quality pair for your future.
Yeah, they're your best 2 offensive linemen when DLTs get out.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Kev. Corbin looks open. Did Jordan Travis hold the ball on too long, or are there not? Like, what's your opinion of the hot routes built in Mike Norvell's passing game?
So let's look at this play real quick. And originally, I was frustrated with Mike Norvell because I felt like there should be more of these. But I looking back on the film, it's not on him. It's on whoever we have at quarterback. I think just being afraid to throw interceptions, afraid to make mistakes. You've kind of got this crossing route. I have a suspicion you have a dig behind him, kind of high-lowing these linebackers.
Yeah.
So it's a drive concept, often called. And then you also have this kind of wheel route by the running back. And realistically, the way Pitt runs their zone is these linebackers spot drop to 10 feet, or 10 yards. So they're way back there. And he could realistically, on this 4th and 6, which it shouldn't be 4th and 6 because we got a false start. But on this 4th and 6, both of these guys end up being open. I'll kind of pause it right where it needs to be. He kind of looks, and look, his eyes are right at the running back. You need to take the chance to get this first down. Or look up here because there's a crosser route, and either one of these guys probably gets you 10 yards, or at least a shot to get this 4th and 6. And instead, he kind of sees ghosts and he tries to buy some more time. And against this talented defensive line, you just can't do that consistently.
It happens time and time again.
Right, and that's a criticism of Norvell that you've heard about, like the route combinations. We're like too focused on the vertical. We're not taking these easy crossing routes. We don't run mesh. We don't do that stuff over the middle, those man beaters. But here's an example: multiple options open. The defense is blitzing you. The defense is going to continue to blitz you until you show that you can beat them with throws like this. Two of them were schemed open on this, and it's not something that's there. I want both of your opinions on this because it doesn't. I'm rubbing my temples when I think about this game. This play doesn't showcase it, but the wide receivers have been so abysmal all year. That first pick to Jordan Travis, there is still miscommunication. A ball going inside where Kentron broke out. I think it was Kentron. I'm not even sure.
Yep.
There still seems to be miscommunication, even when Jordan Travis is in the game, who's been the established quarterback one since Jacksonville State. You've seen inconsistent blocking. Obviously drops has been something that's plagued these guys all year. What's the deal with the wide receivers? Is it an effort thing? Is this a soft factor? Are these guys malcontents? Are they not running good routes? Is it coaching? We alluded to Dugan's criticism earlier. What's your take on the receivers, guys? The quarterback's holding the ball too long. But if the routes are poorly run and being dropped, it's maybe that's why Jordan Travis is seeing ghosts. It's not just his offensive line; it's his inconsistent, stone-fingered wide receivers.
You want to take it?
Wait, what?
I said you want to take this one.
Yeah, I'll take it.
You stew a little bit, Adam. You keep stewing a little bit.
So this. You want to know why this game was abysmal for the offense? You want to know why? This is exactly why this is abysmal for the offense and why it's not looking great that things are going to move forward this season, in my opinion. So you've got 6 offensive linemen here. You've got 6 men in the box. And so that means if you want a numbers advantage, you're looking at this outside linebacker at the top of the screen here. And what Pitt started doing all night was they said, look, we don't need a man advantage on the outside. We're just going to have this guy just live in the box. So now you're trying to run into a box which has an extra person. So there's automatically one guy that's not blocked.
Right.
So the only way you can do anything about it is you say, hey, let's run like a screen or something. Now I've got man on man on this safety in the open field and
5 free yards, maybe more if we play like athletes and we do something athletic and make a guy miss.
So when people are like, why didn't Norvell call more of this? Why didn't Norvell call more of this? It's because you have to almost run where you have numbers advantages more times than not. You can't consistently bang your head against a wall. And this is what happens. So they just can't block.
I think I remember this play.
When you're drawing it up on a whiteboard, it looks really pretty.
It looks nice, right? Look, this outside linebacker doesn't even pretend to go outside.
That's disgusting. Okay, that's
the-
Jordan Young. That's a guy that had a lot of hype going in. He has a lot of fan support. He's very athletic. He's very talented. He's getting reps now, and reps like that do not make me want to give you more reps.
The abusement park. Yeah. That's
Adam, what do you think, man? Because I feel we tried to. We said in the preview for this game last episode, Pitt's off like this type of defense. If you attack the flats, you can have success. This is a prime example. You tried to attack the flats with numbers, and it blew up in your face.
Look, Trey, the best wide receiver you brought in 3 years is Warren Thompson.
Yeah.
So how do you want me to say, man? Like the best wide receiver you brought in 3 years is Warren Thompson.
Hey, DJ wasn't terrible. He was just
let that sink in. Think about that for a second.
It's sinking in.
There was a great picture of him standing on the sideline, 25 yards away from everybody. And that's your wide receiver room. You got Tamori Terry, who I don't think is healthy. I think I'm major hats off to him for going out there and playing a football game that he really didn't need to play. And he was a decoy all night, and that's fine. That's what they asked him to be. It seemed to, in my opinion, they threw 2 deep shots to him. One got a PI, and one was just overthrown. It should have been a touchdown. Everybody else is just a guy. There's not another player in the wide receiver room at this point. Now, we'll see about Kentron. I think he got a lot of hype because he made a couple nice plays on duds in practice and some of the B-roll we got.
You're not doing it in the games, yeah.
No, but then the other guys, Ja'Kai Douglas is a running back. He's a running back that they're lining up out there. You see Lawrence Tolfili, you see Jay Sean Corbin lining up out there. Like they're just a lot of guys.
And the numbers, they emphasize that 144 yards of offense through the air last night. 61 of them went to your tight end Cam McDonald. So that's like 80 yards spread out between like 7 or 8 other guys. Chuba Purdy's stat line was absurd because what was he like 12 of
21 for 40 yards or something like that.
40 yards, a QBR of like 15. Just we talked about it last week. There's no separation. And we talked about separation not so much being a byproduct of athletic ability. It's a byproduct of route running. So this is the thing that's plagued Ron Dugans at his other stops. He gets your receivers to block, except when he doesn't. What's up, Jordan Young? But they've had trouble catching, and the route running hasn't been as crisp. So that's happening. Another question that I want Kevin's opinion on first, and then Adam. You mentioned that Pitt started to cheat to bring more guys into the box to stop the run. So that we don't want to bash our heads against the wall, as you said. But even with that, did we abandon the run too early? Adam is nodding his head, and I think his neck's about to snap because he is in agreement with what I just said. Kevin, air raid guy, my air raid brother. Did we abandon the run too early? And what did you think of the second half play calling?
So I have an answer to kind of the answer to this question. So I've got something I want to say.
All right, now I'm confused.
Kind of in depth, but I'll let Adam take care of this game, and then I kind of want to touch more into Norvell in general right now, and the way his offense looks to me.
Adam, you go, and then Kev will give us the.
I know what Kev's going to say because he and I.
Oh my God! Everybody, okay. I don't know what either of you are going to say, so you go first, and then you guys are playing mental chess, and I'm playing Candyland.
I thought this came back to chasing an outcome that wasn't there, and I kind of touched on that earlier. Yeah, I mean, I thought Mike allowed this game to get out of hand by not running the football, but I also think that look when you're lining up and there's 7 guys lined up within 5 yards of the football, numbers are dictating to you that you have to throw the ball. At some point, football is football, and you're attacking numbers, and you're trying to put your kids in a position to be successful. Numbers dictate you throw. Numbers dictate you run. That's the kind of coach Mike Norvell is. That's winning football. That's a winning formula of offense. I do think there's times where you need to say, screw it, I'm going to run the football here and try to let the clock bleed and get out of here. But I don't think Mike's trying to show quit. I don't think Mike's trying to sell that as the foundation of his program. So I understand what's going on. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, and I've got my fan hat on sometimes too. I try to remove it the best I can, but I am a fan. It's easy for me to sit here and say, gosh, I wish he would have run the ball more and just gotten out of there with a 14-point loss or 17-point loss instead of 41-17. I thought there were opportunities to run the football in the second half. I didn't think he took them. I understand why he didn't take them, but I'm disappointed that he didn't just say, you know what, we need to run the football here a little bit, try to get back to establishing an identity, because we've gotten away from that now. 2 weeks in a row, we've gotten away from it. I know Jordan's been hurt, but we've gotten away from what kind of got us to this point of being feeling as though we found something on offense, and that was an identity. And what are we now? Are we a throwing team?
It's interesting because Chubba Purdy, like you said, he did not as an elusive runner as Jordan Travis, but I mean, he's fully. I understand what you're saying. He's fully capable of running some of the triple option stuff that we were doing before that had success. So it's just tough, right? Because you don't want to pretend like it's two different teams, right? Are we a throwing team or are we a passing team? But I think it has to be said that without Jordan, like Travis, we could be an 0-7 team. Like we could not have won a game. So you go from an offense that's like top 50 in the country with Jordan Travis to when you remove him, you're like in the 80s and 90s. So that's a precipitous drop. So you don't want to pretend like you're two teams, because you can technically do the same offense with both of them, but effectively you almost are two different teams when your quarterback's out.
So this is kind of where I wanted to be with this is, it seems very clear to me that Norvell doesn't want to change his offense to fit Jordan Travis. And whether that's about him fearing injuries or about him not seeing Jordan Travis as a long-term solution to the team's problems, I think that's become pretty clear. I think that there's been some success that you can have by putting a running quarterback in a spread option kind of
just naturally
system.
It just comes naturally, that type
right
of success.
But he's not putting in the entire system. He's not trying to win with Jordan Travis today in a way you would expect if this was 3 years down the road and he has to win today. If I was Mike Norvell, and I suspect Mike Norvell would do something vaguely similar, if he knew like he was going to get fired at the end of this year if he didn't win 3 more games, you bring a second running back into the backfield, you run a lot more triple option, you run the ball 80% of the time, and you make your offense look like Tulane's or Georgia Southern's, and you try to wear teams down and win what by any means necessary. But that means revamping your whole offense, putting a whole new system in there. And right now, I don't think he's willing to do it. And I think it shows that he's not seeing Jordan Travis as a long-term option. And that's what it is. But it's one of the reasons why you're not going to see as efficient of an offense as we could have.
And we tried to point that out earlier in the year when people were glowing about all these changes, is that they didn't make a lot of changes. This stuff was already in the playbook. All Mike did was just activate the quarterback. He activated that portion of the offense with some of the pulls and runs. This stuff has always been in there. This is Mike Norvell's playbook. What we're seeing with some of the triple option stuff, it's in there. It's been in there. Kev's right. Like, he hasn't sold out to the umpteenth degree to try to completely build around Jordan. And we've always said that the next step was always going to be Chubba or Luke Altmaier, and getting back to wanting to throw the football, because that's what's going to win in college football. Mm-hmm. Running the ball 90 times, 70 times a game or 65 times. It's not, as much as I love running the football, it's not a winning formula in college football or in the NFL for that matter. You've got to be able to throw the football and throw the football successfully and play in this space race of what football is today. So I mean, I think he's smart to stay on this. He's not cutting off his nose to spite his face. He's building his foundation, which is what he's got, and he's trying to manipulate that enough with what he's got in his playbook to fit Jordan, to fit Chuba. He tried with James. James is god awful. So I mean, I think he's in a good place. You wish there was more there. You wish that there was more. And I get it as a fan. I want him to see them win, but he's trying to be smart about the long term here because he knows he's got 3 or 4 years.
So to distill that down, kind of like the essence. If this was year 4, Mike Norvell is playing for a contract extension. This is the team that he has. This is the players. This is the pieces. We would be saying the stuff that we saw in the second half of Jacksonville State ramped up to like the 10th degree because I need to do every single thing I can to win a game. Mike Norvell is trying to – he's got young offensive linemen in that, hey, when I get all the players that I need, you're going to have to learn how to pass block effectively. You're going to have to learn this. So I need to take my lumps, still aggressively try to win the game. We said that before. It's not like he's trying to play for moral victories and get his thing established. He's going for it on 4th down multiple times. He's still trying to win the games within the confines of his offensive philosophy, because that is what is going to ultimately lead this terrible roster to success in future years. So I'm glad you guys said it that way. And to a certain extent, I think that Adam Fuller is doing that too. He's not playing a type of defense that benefits I mean, I don't know what type of defense you can play for some of these dudes, but he's playing his defense and he's making people adapt to it. Now,
Play better.
I'm interested in that point of view because that's what I see too. I didn't know if I could articulate it as eloquently and as succinctly as both of you guys did. I think it's interesting too. Now, I don't think that this means that Mike Norvell's an inflexible coach.
No.
Because he's shown at Memphis he's very flexible, but it's like, I'm not Willie Fritz, I'm not Tulane, I'm not Georgia Southern. I am Mike Norvell. I do these things, but that is not who I am. This is who I am, and you guys are going to have to – I'm your head coach.
He's operating on the fringes of his playbook to get to where he is. He hasn't shifted his entire playbook to fit Jordan Travis. He's just kind of operating in this little corner.
To beat Pittsburgh in 2020, a game which everybody's going to forget about. It's 5 seconds.
He's sacrificing probably 2 or 3 wins this season in the hopes that it translates to 1 or 2 more wins next season.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's go to the next play. That was good. That was a good conversation.
All right, so I guess we can go to defense. We've talked a lot about offense here. Before
we go to defense, the James Blackman thing. Let's talk about the James Blackman thing. You trot James Blackman out at the second half. I audibly said WTF, which is fun because I'm surrounded by 2 babies and a wife that did not appreciate my slip of the tongue. I was surprised because I thought it was established that Chuba Purdy was the backup. Now, to play devil's advocate, I'm going to disclaimer, bringing out James Blackman was the wrong decision. I think if you ask Mike Norvell, I think he would say it's the wrong decision. Like if you got him at the bar, if you were 6 feet away and you had a Rona beer with him, I think he would tell you, again, it's okay. My bad. That was a bad move. But he explained why in the presser, why he did it. So I don't agree with the decision. To play devil's advocate, you've got a defense that is pinning their ears back. They are just obliterating you, possibly throwing in a guy coming off an injury, a true freshman, into that situation. He played at Louisville the game before in garbage time against a bad defense. Now you're playing against the top 20, top 25 defense in the nation. They're getting sacks basically every third play. Let me bring in the steady hand. Let me bring in a guy who's, if there's anybody who's experienced in getting, like, knowing what to do when you're staring down the barrel of like a machine gun, it's James Blackman. Because my guy, to say what you want about him, he's been through the fire. He's been baptized by fire every single year. So I bring in that steady hand. I need to pass the ball because I'm down anyway. James Blackman does have a good arm. If I don't have the QB running threat, I at least have the vertical threat of my offense. So maybe that's why he did it. I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't even really believe what I'm saying. So Kevin and Adam, feel free to tell me why all those things I said are stupid. Adam first.
First, I think you have a very punchable face for saying all those things right now.
I didn't believe them. I'm just playing advocate.
That move was horrible. It was the first time all season I thought to myself, maybe he's not the man for the job.
Okay, so it had that. It reverberated. It resonated with you that much.
And I
Wow.
mean, that was the fan in me. That
Okay,
the
but
fan in me
does
was
it
like, we need to
still?
fire him right this second. Does it still? Yeah, I still think it was a horrible call. I still think it was a
Okay.
horrible decision. I just still think it made no sense. You what concerns me the most is that I've been the biggest Chubba Purdy bandwagon leader. What does it say about his confidence in Chubba? Now he's like, oh, we were planning on playing him. If you're planning on playing him, why the hell weren't you planning on playing him the first snap? I mean, what's the difference? You're planning on playing him later, but not. I don't see it. I don't see the difference, and I'm not in that room, so I don't know what their thought process was. But I don't understand at all what benefit you were hoping to gain from rolling James Blackman out there. You've seen the team quit on him time and time again. You've seen guys not step up to the plate to battle for him play time and time again. You've seen him make bad decisions time and time again. You know he's a statue behind an offensive line that's getting destroyed right now. It made no sense at all. Chuba can throw the ball as far as he can vertically. Chuba can throw interceptions just as well as he can to the sideline.
Hey, so can my boy Tate.
I don't Yeah, well, I mean, where's all right? I'm not even going down that slippery slope, but it was a stupid decision, and I am a full-on Mike Norvell fan and believer, but that was a dumb decision.
Kev, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so stepping in his shoes, I think it had to do with Pitt's bringing the house. Pitt's got 7 men in the box. We need to take advantage. My best pure thrower might be James Blackman. Maybe his thought is, I don't want to ruin Chubba because he's just going to get hit immediately. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what his thought is. He isn't the kind of guy that wouldn't have been planning on this. So this he thought about this, and for whatever reason, he thought this was the best course of action.
Which almost makes it worse.
Which, it's pretty concerning because I'm sure he's watched as much Florida State football as we have, or as much James Blackman as we have at this point in his career. I bet he watched every single game that kid played, and to not know that's like, I don't know. I don't know what you get.
You're exasperated. I agree with you. Because I'm an advocate, my devil's advocate. Mike Norvell also said that he planned to work Chubba in later. So it wasn't because you're worried about ruining Chubba. You planned on playing him later anyway against the same defense and the same defensive line. So I just destroyed my own argument. It's like, bad move. L for Mike.
Oh, big
Mike.
Fat L.
And if he stinky L.
What? Okay, so here's a better question for you, and I'm not trying to get too far down this road here, but what happens if he runs him out there for a second series?
Blackman after throwing the pick?
People come on the field.
What if he runs him back out there?
People remove him and James Blackman from the field like they stormed the field against Notre Dame.
That reminds me that to me would be his Syracuse moment. Like there were moments throughout the Willie Taggart regime, like the first season. I wasn't really ever out on him until the end of the second season, just because the writing was on the wall. This wasn't I was fine with it. But there were moments during that first season, like Syracuse, like there was that game against Syracuse. That would have been a moment for me. Like I don't get it. And I wouldn't have gotten it from a guy who has such a talented offensive pedigree. Is Florida State, is it like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining, where the more you stay in the program, it slowly drives you insane and into a psychopath? Like Mike Norvell's he's this great offensive guy, but he stays within Tallahassee long enough, and he's like got like visions of James Blackman with like hatchets and stuff, and he's trying to cut Shelley Duvall into like pieces in the snow. I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to think about that because.
All right. So then follow-up question to that question. Is it encouraging that he benched him and said, you know what, I screwed up. That was a dumb decision. I'm going to get away from this as fast as I can.
Net negative.
I don't know. To me, it washes out. It's like there's no way that you didn't know that James Blackman wasn't ruined. That's why that's why he started Tate Rodemaker. No offense, Kevin, but a true freshman project guy against Jacksonville State. So you knew he was ruined. He didn't become unruined, right? You can't unerupt the volcano. You can't unsave Pompeii. Vesuvius is blown. It's done. The toothpaste is out of the tube. So no, I guess it's good. I guess it's good that he took him out that second series so I didn't ram my fist through my TV. But no, it's good for my own personal health, I guess. But yeah, it's encouraging, I guess.
I 1,000% said fire him right now.
If you would have run him out like twice.
Wait, when he ran him out, are you kidding
the
me?
first time.
Oh, yeah. It didn't even make sense.
Oh, I said it right then and there. That was a bad call.
All right, let's go to the. I don't think we have much to talk about on the defense, which is good because I feel like we're going to need a pretty thorough, like wrapping it up segment at the end. But Kev, what do you want to talk about from the defense? In my opinion, I thought the defense played okay. They stopped the run better at first. Pittsburgh hit them with some draws later on. The pass rush was non-existent, which was disappointing against Kenny Pickett, who was compromised. His arm was not compromised. He ran the offense well, but his legs were compromised, so we didn't get enough pressure on him. The safeties again. I mean, this is all caveated because Green and Jay weren't playing, but God, the safeties suck. I was encouraged by Emmett Rice. I thought he did better. What were your takes on overall the defensive performance? To me, it was like meh. It was meh, but they were also put in some really bad situations.
I just thought the warts of the personnel continue to shine through. Safety plays bad, and you can't get a pass rush. And like there's times where we're chasing receivers across the field on drag routes, and they're catching it on the opposite sideline. Like that's on pass rush. That's not on coverage. That's not on scheme. That's not on Adam Fuller. You can only be asked to cover for so long. I think this might be one of them right here, Kev.
Yep.
Jarvis Brownlee's runs all the way across the field on this thing, and it's like somebody's got to be there by now making Pickett get off of this read, and it just never gets there. They never get there, and time again we see the lack of pass rush is costing them plays, and it's just continued to show itself.
So this is where I want to direct your attention specifically with the pass rush. I think Kando does an okay job getting pressure. And I'll give Robinson his credit. I think Robinson has stepped up significantly when it comes to being an influence on the run game. I think he's done a really good job there. And so that's the credit that I think he 100% deserves. But when it comes to rushing the passer, when it comes to rushing the passer, whoever wins more times than not comes down to whoever can get their hands on the other person's chest. So if you can get inside of the other person, you basically will win that match more times than not. If the offensive line can lock in on the inside of your shoulder pads,
it's over. Yeah,
it's over.
About manipulating the leverage, getting the angles, turning. Because then if you get the hands in the chest, that opens up to rips and swims and things like that. It's all about shoulder and chest.
Right, and that's why the NFL cares so much about how long a defensive end's arm span is, because the longer your arms, the better separation you can get from the tackle. Okay. He is just like a magnet for tackles' hands. Just like boom, he's done. He just gets locked up. Like he's got nothing. He just lets them into his chest immediately. And all of our defensive linemen realistically do this. There's no. It's like they've been taught to belly bump these offensive linemen. Like that's gonna.
Okay. Adam, let's talk about this some more because this was an issue that we saw, and I forget what game it was with the cut blocks. The hand play of the defensive line was subpar that game. It's subpar this game. It's literally just a titty sandwich. They're rubbing their chests on each other all the time. Not improving. And like I said, people want to put that was an Odell thing that I think we're probably going to examine like in the offseason how true that was. But Odell doesn't coach the defensive ends this year. John Papuchis does.
Yep.
Is the technique on the defensive ends? I mean, he's clearly a talented special teams coach, But
Oh, I don't listen. J-Rob is what J-Rob is. Like,
okay, that's what I was gonna say. Is
yeah,
it's too far gone at this
yeah,
point?
he's too far going. Like, I'm gonna say, like, I thought Josh Kane played his best game of the year, and I actually
Told you,
feel
right?
like I actually feel like he's improving. Like, I feel like his hand play's gotten a lot better over the last couple weeks. So, look,
Okay, that's encouraging.
I don't think John Papuchis is any god at defensive end, but or at defense as a defensive end coach. But I actually feel like there's been a little bit of growth there. I mean,
There has been.
Derek McClendon's played a little bit better.
Yep, McClendon played better this game.
Yeah,
I
so
saw him flash a little
I do
bit.
feel like there's some growth there. I just don't think there's a ton of talent. There's not a lot of twitch and there's not a lot of burst. Part of being a good defensive end is being able to get a first step by a tackle, and they can't get those guys up the field and retreating to work any kind of counter moves or inside moves. So when a tackle knows the only move you're going to run all day is trying to run around them, it's easy for them to kind of set up and place, play your pass rush. The D tackles, though, in my opinion, they just I don't know, man. I
This
just
game or in general?
just in general, I just feel like they're stale. I just feel like it's very stale inside. We know Odell works hand fighting, and we've seen tons and thousands of hours worth of B-roll tape of him working hand fight. I think if I was gonna say I am disappointed in Adam Fuller or what he kind of does, I wish they were more one gap up the field, just get in a gap and create havoc. And they don't do that. Maybe they're not bursty enough. They don't have those guys that can really be explosive into it. And that's the personnel why they're not doing it. I do wish that they would be more explosive into gaps. But Odell likes that hand fight. He likes that hand fight stuff. He likes trying to create that leverage. Keeping an offensive lineman's hands off of you and then working your moves. And for me, I want to get into it. I want to get into an offensive lineman and then work a move. But that's Odell's been doing it a long time. It's tough to question the guy because he has been doing it for so long. But I question if it's gotten
It's
stale.
a personnel thing too, because the only guy that you could see on this team across the entire defensive roster that's really a pass rushing threat is Corey Durden. He's the only one that's ever really shown an aptitude for it, and he's an interior guy, so he's only going to have a couple of sacks a year anyway. And this year, I don't know if he's they've been very enamored with his PFF pass rushing grade from 2019, but the one guy who could be the disruptor, the gap jumper, is jumping in the wrong gap. Now he's gotten better at it, but there's been so many times where he's taken himself out of plays that you do throw your hands up in the air. None of these guys have any moves. None of these guys have any athleticism. None of these guys have the aptitude to be pass rushing guys. And that's a problem that's going to persist because you don't have any pass rushers on this roster either. You're not getting any in the high school ranks from this year that are instant impact. You better just be hitting JUCO colleges like a lot lizard in a TA truck stop and just hitting them all and just aggressive.
Yeah, I found
I don't know why I said that reference.
There's a clip of Durden. I didn't get it, but there's a play where Pitt ran this straw play, right? So the quarterback pretends like he's going to pass for a second, and then he hands the ball off. But Corey Durden doesn't take his first step until the quarterback takes his first step. So that means the ball has been snapped, is in the quarterback's hand, and he started moving backwards before Corey Durden even takes a step forward. And it's like,
this is your explosive guy. This is your PFF pass rushing interior specialist.
Which is wild.
There's been a lot of regression, dude. I mean, I know it's tough and it's lack of development throughout, but the way this
defense,
lack of
1-2.
I know it's disappointing.
Trey, come on. All right, look. You got a bye week and you got guys calling freaking player meetings wanting to complain about practice schedule. Can we just be done with this is Mike Norvell's fault, this is Adam Fuller's fault? No, this is culture rot.
Yeah, it's bad. It's to the core.
And it's all them old heads, all the guys we're talking about right now, the Corey Durdens and all of it. Man, they couldn't play for me. They wouldn't play for me. They'd be on the bench. And I know you got to run 11 guys out there, but come on. Malcolm Ray, you can lose with Malcolm Ray.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lose a game with him, whatever.
Derek McLendon.
Yep. I can lose with those guys too. Just as much as I'm losing with the dudes that we're running out there right now that are complaining about practice.
And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's been multiple reports from multiple outlets that they had we all heard about the players only meeting. And I think everybody rightly assumed like, oh, wow, they just got a red feathery cardinal fist rammed down your throat and your trachea got pulled, just like Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. Assuming they're having a players only meeting to talk about, hey, we suck. We need to get it together. We need to play like Noles. We need to be unconquered. We are unconquered. We are Nole. We're Nole-blooded. No, the players only meeting was because they were mad about having a practice on a Saturday of a bye week, so they couldn't go home and do Corona body shots off girls they went to high school with back in the day. So that was very disappointing, and it's shown that, like Adam said, dude, the rots to the it's a greenfield operation, guys. You got to tear it all down and start again. And maybe that's why Mike Norvell just kind of taking it, going full circle. Maybe that's why he feels confident. Like, I'm going to run my system. Like, I'm here for at least like 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
All of these guys, I cannot say it in these press conferences. I hope you guys can infer what I'm saying. All of these guys are bad. They are bad. And in that players only meeting, it is encouraging to hear that the young guy said, this is stupid. We are not going to opt out if we have to practice on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So it is good to hear that. But Florida State they said that stat. I think they're the second youngest team in the country in terms of freshmen and sophomores, only behind Oregon. And if Mike Norvell had his way, the team would be younger. It would be even younger than that. Absolutely. If he could. And it will be. So do we have any more defensive stuff we want to talk about, Kev? Or like I said, it was a meh performance. Nothing really stood out. You couldn't get a pass rush on a veteran quarterback, and he picked you apart because he had 12 Mississippi in the pocket. So it's whatever. They did okay, and they had some goal line stands and everything else. So my question for you guys, how are you feeling about, do you have any doubt that this program is helmed by the right guy and the right staff? And what do you want to see, especially if Jordan Travis is hurt for any considerable length of time? Because if Jordan Travis is hurt in any considerable length of time, you are the underdog in every single game you play, from Virginia to Clemson to Duke. And I don't really expect you to win any of those games if Jordan Travis doesn't play. So with that being said, and we don't know his status, is Florida State football in the right hands right now? And what do you want to see from the rest of the year? To answer my own question, I still believe in Mike Norvell. I still think he's the guy. I've been encouraged by a lot of the stuff he's done. This roster is terrible. That doesn't excuse some of the things I've seen, like James Blackman running out there, oddly not getting LaDamian Webb the ball until like the fourth series. Like, that was the player rotations have been kind of strange to me. So there have been some questionable things, but overall I still believe that Mike Norvell, I still believe he's a good coach. Kevin, Adam, you first, then Kevin.
I'm a Mike Norvell believer. Yeah, absolutely. I think do I think he's going to reap the benefits of what he's sowing right now? Not necessarily.
Good question. So there could be a situation where this roster needed 3 to 4 years to rebuild. Yeah. And you've got a lot of fans right now with the number 21 floating around in their minds, because that's how much time Willie Taggart got. That's how much time Mike Norvell deserves, without the realization that in those 21 games that Willie Taggart had, considerable damage was done to an already broken product. So it's not really fair. It's not 21 versus 21, because Mike Norvell is getting Florida State after 21 games of Willie Taggart. However, I understand that people want the same standards applied.
No, that's
that's
stupid.
Said, yeah, and you can get into that, because I understand where people are coming from. That there's a lot of emotions that go into playing that. But like you're saying, even if Mike Norvell is the guy, he might not, and he might do all the things right, and he might have made every right move in terms of flipping over this awful roster and this awful culture. Even if he does all those right things, the results on the field might not be good enough for him to even see it when another guy might benefit from it.
Here's what I think is something that I can say for sure. Mike can build a floor, and I don't feel like this is a program with a floor right now. I don't think this is a program that has any. I don't think they have that's something that they can just go out there and their program is just built on. I don't think that exists right now, and I think he can develop that. I think he can develop that mindset, that workman's attitude, that I want to be a great football player kind of mindset in the program, and that's a start. That for me is, I don't necessarily, is Mike the right guy to win a championship? I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't think we know enough about him. I think we've seen some things that are encouraging, but we've seen some things that make you scratch your head at times. So I do think Mike is the right guy to be here right now. Like would we love for Saban to be here? Sure, absolutely. I'd kill for Nick Saban, but
Bob Stoops.
No, I don't think Bob Stoops is going to do much either.
He's selling tequila that's shaped like guitars.
But I think Mike's the right guy for where they need to be at right now, of getting out of the absolute bottom barrel basement that they're in.
Yeah, and the thing too that we don't really talk about here, and I'm sure we'll get into in the off season, is the recruiting is a question mark, and it wasn't really something that he excelled in much, even when compared to like his group of 5 contemporaries, in my opinion. So we'll see the recruiting, and I don't even think the recruiting for this off cycle is almost like the football season. It's almost kind of a wash because you don't have official visits. You don't, and you this is your product that you're showing, and you're doing it with a subpar roster. So maybe I might judge Mike Norvell's recruiting ability. I'm really going to judge it in years in the future, but I'm going to base a lot of my analysis of how much I like this class based on how good he does with JUCOs and grad transfers. But go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go back to that original question you asked on whether you think Mike is the right guy. Mm-hmm. So I was probably one of the few, I wasn't part of Tomahawk Nation at the time, but I'm probably one of the few that are currently part of Tomahawk Nation that was upset when we got rid of Taggart.
Yeah.
I felt it was premature. I felt that if you look on his resume, he makes teams worse until he builds them, and then they become a lot better. And you should have known going in that he's a 4-year guy, and that to not even think about it for 4 years, because that's historically what he showed. And so I think that you have every right to fire him. He was fireable. He did things that are worth consideration to be fired. Whether or not that means he 100% deserved to be fired is a different question, but they're not wrong for firing him. They had cause to fire him, but that does not mean that was ultimately what was right or wrong, or whatever you want to say. And I'm the same way with Mike Norvell. I think if we suck this bad next year, I mean, you have every right to say, hey, bye, Mike Norvell. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's the right guy or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good we are this year. It doesn't matter how good we are next year. It does not matter because of the fact that we were so mad that we missed a bowl game, that we fired a coach after having him for a year and a half, because that's the choice that Florida State decided to make. Whether that's right or wrong, it does not matter how you feel about Mike Norvell, because he is here for 3 or 4 more years. You know, he will be here. And whether or not, like, I don't know. So we can answer if he's going to be the right guy. He's going to make this team better because it can't get worse with the talent we have, or we can bring in. Even if we're bringing in top 20, like 25, 30 recruiting classes, we're going to get better because there's going to be some homogeny within the team. And it's, I don't know. I'm just frustrated because it doesn't matter. We need to support Mike Norvell because that's who we have, and he needs, I don't know. I don't know. It's just frustrating.
That's a good point, and I understand what you mean because I think a lot of the reason for that very quick firing, even though like Taggart's shown that it goes down and then it kind of goes up, and they should have known that. I think a lot of the reason why the patience was thin is because Florida State fans, myself included, we didn't know how the extent to that cultural rot that was already like infest. We didn't think the team was as bad as they showed in like 2017, right? Now you've got a guy in the NFL, Dalvin Cook, who's running for like 200 yards a game, who really, when you look back at it, like, oh, Florida State was full of terribly cultured players in 2015, 2016, and one man literally carried them to 10 wins in New Year's Six bowl games. If Florida State would have been – if we would have known after that Miami game just how bad this roster was, who knows if we would have done something different. So that's something that's something where that's a consideration for Willie Taggart. However, there are all those tales of malfeasance and disorganization and incompetence that have started to leak out that always do, which in my opinion, like you said, there's caused a fire, but maybe we wouldn't have done it if we knew just how crappy this roster was. But like you said, Kevin, Norvell's our guy. So I guess I asked a question that's almost moot at this point, but it's going to be something that's discussed from now until
that guy had to go.
Yeah, Adam, you disagree. You disagree with
that guy had to go. You can't miss a freaking walkthrough and be a Division I head coach. You can't. You cannot.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll get.
He's 1-0 against Mike Norvell, there, buddy.
Whatever.
Don't do this. Okay.
Whatever.
All right. All right. That was the triple
playing
option,
devil's advocate.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun, right? It's fun, right? Okay.
My computer almost flew across the room.
I could see that vein popping out. Guys, like you said, it's not a tough game.
Tough times. It's tough times.
It's a game that makes you reconsider life, right? Like, what am I doing?
You get very introspective during that one. I thought a lot of things. I shaved off all my head like Britney Spears when she went through her psychotic break. Pat and Artuzzi.
So did AB.
However,
I don't have any hair.
However, we're going to be with you here every week to see where the team goes from here. Will Jordan Travis play? Will guys opt out? Will there be more players-only meetings? Time will only tell. But the only thing I know for certain is that the triple option, me and my two buddies, we are going to be here every week for you to talk you through, to talk you off the cliff. I wish that you would step away from that ledge, my friend. We are your third eye blind. We are your triple option. I am flanked by Kevin Little, X's and Noles YouTube. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. I get in the face. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get all the videos, so you get everything, all the subscriptions. Check this out. Adam Brown, check out all of his work at Tomahawk Nation. Whiteboard Wednesday, going deep into the analysis. Me, you don't have to worry about my stuff. Follow Triple Option FSU on Twitter. I'll give you all the sick memes and then all of the notifications when new episodes drop. But guys, go Noles. We'll be here next week. It's okay. We're here for you.
We'll make it.
Chop on, guys. Never stop chopping.
Chop this.
Chop.